Hey, welcome into the Big Chief Show. I am, folks across the street, just dove for cover. I got my window open because, you know what, why not? Big Chief Show on a Tuesday night. We are 2 days away, 48 hours, less than 48 hours away, Bitter Mike Babbo, from the kickoff to the 2023 NFL season. Shout out to our boy Taylor Bell of Chief Studios, of eSIM Studios. I got to give my boy Taylor because I'm having phone problems, but we'll talk about that another time. Look, big show today. We're excited about it. Glad to have you guys on board at the Freddie D. It's at the Bitter Mike, isn't it?
At the Bitter Mike. Oh, did I? Yeah, I got that wrong.
Mike got his own. Look, Mike got his own Twitter handle wrong. That's okay.
Look, that's all right. I like to be incognito.
Well, much like his Raiders, okay, fumbling out of the gate already. So you know what? That's okay. Unlike the Raiders, though, Mike's going to get it together. So we feel
you're the only one.
we feel better.
You like him when you play him.
We feel better. You know, I will say this. So I was on ESPN 97.5 today. Shout out to the folks over at ESPN 97.5. Josh Beard had a chance to sit on his show today. Andrew Carlson producing, and then of course Joe George, and of course Joe George reached out for me to come on today, and then I'll be on tomorrow as well. But one of the things that we brought up, or one of the things that Andrew Carlson asked me during show prep, was the Chandler Jones story had just hit. Right. And of course, he had not very nice things to say about the Raiders. And so my boy Andrew Carlson said, you know, Fred, you being the Chiefs fan that you are, do you revel in the Raiders' misery? And I said, no, not really, for two reasons. One, I mean, let's call it what it is. They've basically been a dumpster fire for the last 20 years. And my boy Mike Babbo, out of deference to him, knowing how painful it is week in, week out, for him to have to watch said dumpster fire, I can take no solace in that. And let's call it what it is for all of us Tecmo Bowl fans out there. The original Tecmo Bowl didn't have the Chiefs, and the Raiders had Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson. So I will always have a special place in my heart for the Bo Jackson Raider days, which, you know, I don't know that we've ever seen anything like that since. So right. There you go.
Well, I'll say one thing about the Chandler Jones thing. It seems to me like his access card to the facility probably acted like my GoDaddy account, which was terminated due to inactivity. Seeing how the clown had not been seen hide nor hair of on the practice field since since training camp began. I don't even think he was there for OTAs. He's been injured the entire time. He talked yesterday about can't wait to get to practice, and then, you know, he goes all bipolar on us and then just throws this out. I mean, I'm sorry. And if you take a look at his Twitter handle or his X handle, whatever you want to call it, it's all about God is great, Jesus is, you know, and all this. I mean, so on this Instagram post is completely unlike him. And let's be clear that he did delete someone. The posts were deleted on Instagram, but certainly it's not a good look.
I don't think it's a good look for either side, though.
No, not at all. I mean, this is one of your.
You did give him a lot of money a couple of years ago, right?
3 years, $51 million, I believe, to the tune. So because again, he was supposed to be a sack master. He's supposed to give Max Crosby some help in the defensive line. I mean, 6 of the previous 7 years before he joined the Raiders, he had double-digit sacks. The only time he didn't was when he played only 5 games due to injury. And then last year he had only 4.5 sacks, 3 in one game. We talked about this before against, I believe it was against the LA Chargers in week 8 or week 9. And then he had another sack the next week before. And then he went on IR. So it's been a very, let's say, inauspicious start for his Raiders career. And of course, this doesn't help, especially out in the public.
It's probably close to being over at this point, I would imagine.
It's probably, yeah. Here's
the weird part. Why? And I saw a tweet where they said the Raiders reached out to his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend from his 5 years ago.
Yeah. His BM, who they call, which obviously we know as baby mama.
Baby's mother. Hadn't seen him.
Yeah. He hadn't seen him in 5 years. So, I mean, Is this what you have on your Rolodex, your digital Rolodex?
Well, this is also the same team.
That's your next of kin for the guy? I mean,
well, and plus on top of that, and the Raiders obviously love making things personal because they also apparently had broken the news that Darren Waller was getting married when they weren't supposed to, or Josh McDaniel.
Oh, not only that, my friend Josh McDaniel put it out on his social media page. He posted pictures of Darren Waller's wedding.
Yeah. And plus he announced it too, which he wasn't supposed to.
And he announced it, which is like a major faux pas.
Look,
what are you doing?
Well, yeah. So anyway, the Raiders are a dumpster fire already, and we're not even into week 1 yet. So that being said, let's get to the news of the day. And of course, the news of the day, we finally usurped the Chris Jones news, which, and unfortunately, we're not usurping it in a good way.
In a bad way.
Travis Kelce, much has been said about how durable this guy is and how he hasn't missed a game since 2013. And this is a guy who, at 34 years old, or he'll be 34 next month, again, has shown no signs of slowing down. And then, unfortunately, 48 hours prior to, hyperextends his knee today in practice. Andy Reid talked about it. Now, on the flip side of that, from reports I've seen since then, they've done the MRI. The ACL is intact. The PCL, I guess, is mildly bruised. They don't expect him to play on Thursday. There is a lot of swelling involved. One internet doctor, and of course, the Chiefs haven't made an official statement yet, but apparently the doctor said, based off of just these early results, don't expect him to play on Thursday. Unlikely he'll play week 2. More likely week 3, week 4. For a return for Travis Kelce. So on that front, it's look, you were already down Chris Jones. I don't think there's any chance that he's playing. I think it's pretty much done that he's not playing on Thursday either. Obviously, that's contract related. We'll get to that here in a second because apparently, was it Diana Rossini posted that earlier today that he had a record deal on the table. And one of those deals, apparently, the Chiefs offered him 3 years, $84 million. With 70 to 75 million of that being guaranteed. So that would put him at that $28 million mark, which apparently he's okay with. But again, who knows what to believe at this point. Chiefs say that's a number that they're comfortable with. Whether he is or not, we'll never know. Doesn't look like he is because he hasn't signed anything. We don't have any new news to report on that front. So from that standpoint, again, that's obviously bad news. But at least you've had the entire, training camp and preseason to get ready and kind of at least prepare for that on Thursday, right? You've had a rotating group. The defense has played without Chris Jones, so at least it's not some huge shock to the system on Thursday when number 95 is not out there. Not having 87 out there on Thursday presents a much different challenge because now the one fallback, the one kind of, saving grace that you had, considering that you've got a bunch of receivers who, it's basically Travis Kelce and the Pips. Okay. I mean, and no disrespect to, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but, he's never been a number one. He wasn't a number one in Green Bay. He had 42 catches last year. Okay. 680 some odd yards or something like that. Yes, he had a great postseason, but, he's not that guy that you're catching 7, 8, 9 balls a game. So, when you look at this, Mike.
Yeah.
Look, you know me as well as anybody. I love to say, as long as you got 15 back there, you've got a shot. That's not changing. I think, and you and I have talked about this, and I've said this time and time again throughout this preseason, throughout this training camp, was that the most important position group and the most impressive position group to me for this Chiefs team has been, outside of the quarterback room, largely because of one guy, has been the offensive line. Right? Donovan Smith is still a pretty good left tackle. That interior line might be the best in football between Tooney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. And then you've got Juwan Taylor, who might be the best right tackle in football, or definitely is in the discussion. So I feel good about this offensive line. Look, give 15 time. Yes, there's going to have to be some changes to the game plan over the next 48 hours. But if there's anybody capable enough to do it on the fly, on short notice, it's Andy Reid and Matt Nagy.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to change the game plan up because I don't think Patrick Mahomes has ever played a game without 87.
He hasn't.
So this is going to be the first time he's going to have to.
Technically, I guess you could say technically he has played one game with Travis Kelce. His actual first start against Denver, his rookie season, I want to say they rested the entire starting offense.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that was his rookie season. That was resting by design. But
yeah,
now he's going to be throwing passes when it really counts. And his leading receiver going into this game, and we talked to before we went on air, is going to be Jerick McKinnon. And him and Isaiah Pacheco, I think, and I mean, hot take here, I think they're going to have to play ground game offense. Yes, you have 15 out there. He's going to be scrambling around. Patrick might be doing a lot more scrambling than he's used to, than he wants to. Sky Moore is a second-year guy. Marquise Valdez-Scantling, you talk to, he's an old 26. You're going to have to rely on, guys like Rashid Rice, a very, iffy Kadarius Toney. We hope that he can play all 60 minutes without stubbing a toe or tweaking a knee or whatever.
Kadarius Toney, I have zero faith in.
No, I know. And this would be a great game for Justin Ross to break out and go bananas and just get behind some defense.
I think you could make the argument at this point, you just need anybody to showcase. And let me ask you this, Mike.
Yeah.
This is one of those situations where, look, this is the healthiest this team's going to be all year. Right? Right.
Yeah.
So on one hand, it's week 1 of the regular season. You're the only game in town that night. All eyes are going to be on you.
You're raising the banner.
You're raising the banner. The place is going to be hyped.
Yep.
But you already knew you had to break in new guys. Okay. Now, one thing I've told you this, and I've said this on this show time and time again. I've tweeted it out. I've called in radio shows and said this. Noah Gray was a guy to me that before Kelce even got hurt, before this, and you and I have talked about this on this show.
Yes.
I've been saying, we're going into year 3 with Noah Gray. This is kind of the year where, I want to see whether or not this guy, is he going to become Travis Kelce 2.0? No. But, and maybe this is a bad comparison, but, I would have, when I think of, dynamic 2 tight end sets, I think of Gronk and Aaron Hernandez before he was a, murdering psychopath, although he might have already been a murdering psychopath by that time. Don't know yet. Anywho, when was Noah Gray going to be that guy that was going to step up? Well, guess what? Thursday's the night to find out.
This is his chance.
Okay.
I mean, look, he's got the tools. He's got great hands. He's
absolutely
big and strong. He's 6'3". He's 240 pounds. This is his. I think this is his.
He's going to the third
year in the league.
This is his third year. Okay. And what did Bill Parcells say? If the light doesn't go on by year 3, you ain't gonna make it.
You ain't gonna make it. Yeah. So this is his time to shine. It's just like, okay, next man up. Like what Bill Belichick always said, next man up, let's go, do your job. So I really do think, though, that this will be they're going to be a lot more ball control offense than we're used to from the Chiefs. Also, because look what's on the other side of the ball, Fred. The Detroit Lions were not. Well, let's face it, they were not the '85 Chicago Bears. They were third from the bottom in rushing yards per game. They were second from the bottom in attempts per game. So you can run on this team. I mean, remember, they started, I think, like 1-8 last year.
Here's the only thing I worry about, though, and this is why I don't necessarily think that they're going to go quite ball control per se, is, you've got a Isaiah Pacheco who you didn't really see a whole lot of during the preseason, right? And for obvious reasons, he was banged up. You're bringing him back slowly. And again, right. You've got the nice thing about Chiefs playing on a Thursday is you've got an extended rest period before you go into week 2. But the Chiefs, to me, and again, this is one of those deals where, when you've got 15, you've got the luxury of doing things that most teams can't do. I don't know that you're going to see a huge change or a huge abandonment of the game plan, to be honest with you. I think to your point, maybe do you see a few more runs thrown into the collective game plan? Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Fred. I'm not saying they throw the passing game out the window.
No. I know you're not saying that.
With Patrick, MF, and Mahomes, you're never out of it.
In your mind, I guess I'll put it to you like this, because I saw this as being a shootout anyway. All right. I think this was going to be – I thought this game, regardless of whether Travis Kelce played or not, I mean, going into this, and I think I was telling somebody this last week, that, this is going to be – without Chris Jones, you're going to be in some shootouts. right? Just for the simple fact that, your leading sack getter from last year is George Karlaftis with 6. Okay. And again, I know it was limited duty that we saw him in the preseason.
Hey, I'd take that right now with the Raiders.
I mean, look, it's one of those deals where what you're going to see, and look, so going into Thursday, you got Valdez-Scantling, all right, who again is a pro's pro, and I think for what he is to this offense and how he's continued to grow, all right, and there were things about him last year that kind of irritated me because I did think he kind of alligator armed some stuff, and he was kind of not as consistent as I would have liked to have seen. But again, I think you're going to have to see him take a little bit bigger role. Sky Moore, as you mentioned, Rashee Rice, who for as great as he was in the second preseason game, looked like dog shit in the third one. I mean, he dropped he dropped a for sure touchdown pass. Justin Ross is going to have to make some plays. I think you're going to see, like you said, a lot of Justin McKinnon out of the backfield. But the two guys to me that I think, Noah Gray, I think you're going to see a lot out of on Thursday. I wouldn't be surprised right now if you see a career game out of Noah Gray on Thursday. I think Noah Gray is going to have a career game, and I want to see Sky Moore have a dominant performance as well.
Well, everyone's going to get more opportunities, right? Because Travis Kelce is not going to get 12 to 15 targets so those 12 to 15 targets he ain't going to be out there. So those 12 to 15 are going to be out of the other receivers, or maybe heck, like we talked about before we went on air, we may see more catches out of the backfield from Pacheco or McKinnon, or maybe even CEH. Who knows?
Well, I'm glad you brought Clyde Edwards-Helaire up because for the simple fact that I think you are – look, the one thing we know about – first of all, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has the trust of a Patrick Mahomes. Maybe he's not the best at running the ball, but he is solid at receiving the ball, right? I mean, he's a solid target. This is his 5th year in this offense. He knows it as well as anybody out there. And the one thing, like you said, I mean, the thing that we've learned that Pat Mahomes did last year was, he got okay with the dink and the dunk. He got away from not every play's got to be the 40, 50-yard bomb downfield, and he took what the defense gave him. I think you're going to see more of that in that game on Thursday. And let's call it – I mean, look, let's be real for a minute, okay? When we think about the Tom Bradys, when we think about the Peyton Mannings of the world, okay, I mean, there was a time when Peyton Manning was throwing to guys like Austin Collier, for crying out loud. Okay. Like when Austin Collier was like a legit receiving threat. Now you had Reggie Wayne on the other side, so that certainly didn't hurt, but you went bouts with
Marvin Harrison.
Okay. You had Marvin Harrison before he retired. We always heard, how Brady never had for years didn't have that go-to guy. All right. So again, it's not to say that, the Chiefs we know the Chiefs have a lot of unproven talent on this roster, but at the very least, I have confidence that with this offense, with this scheme, with guys making that, jump to that next level. And let's be real for a second. If you're Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, Justin Watson, for crying out loud, okay? You already know, now that Travis Kelce's out, what did you say that the line dropped?
The line dropped from 6.5 to 5.
So you've got, and you and I talked about this before the show, you've got that line that has already dropped 1.5 points. I bet you, Mike, that thing probably gets down to about 3.5, 4 before it's all said and done when they officially rule him out. All right. Yeah. Just for the simple fact that, teams are, because again, we're going to go into this whole, well, what's Mahomes going to do? What's Mahomes going to do? All right. And
it's going to be very important for these receivers to treat this as if it was John Elway. Get open, because he will make things happen, okay? Mahomes is most dangerous when he's out of the pocket. Just keep moving. That's going to be the word from Andy Reid and from Matt Nagy. Just keep moving.
Look, I'll put it to you like this, okay? And we go back to the one Achilles heel for any quarterback, I don't care who you are, is do you give the guy time to throw? All right. Now I get it. the Detroit line, you got Adrian Hutchinson, you got some solid guys along that defensive front. That defense, as you alluded to, got better as the season wore on. Hell, half of them trained with our boy Henry Thomas just a month ago or whatever it was. So they got the Henry Thomas touch. But that being said, they ain't Henry Thomas, so let's get that straight. But number two, as we alluded to already, the Chiefs' offensive line is as good an offensive line in the NFL. You're solid from left to right, from left tackle to right tackle. You feel good about that group that you got in front of him. And it may be the best offensive line he's played behind in his 7 years as quarterback for the Kansas City, or going into year 7 with the Chiefs. So, look, it's one of those deals where from an offensive standpoint, yes, does it kind of hurt that you don't have Travis Kelce out there? And does it kind of fill into this narrative like, oh, geez, this was the last thing you needed? But, look, last year, what did we hear? You didn't have Tyreek Hill. Suddenly, it was going to be the end of the world. All right, how'd that turn out?
Things worked out okay.
Babo, okay.
So.
Now you don't
worked out okay.
If you keep 15 upright, guys are going to get open. And I think Noah Gray's got to have a big game tomorrow. You're probably going to, you're probably going to see a little bit more Blake Bell. I don't know in what capacity, especially since they do like to run those 2 tight end sets, but. Like I said, I think as long as you keep Mahomes clean, Chiefs will be all right tomorrow. I still think it's going to be a shootout. But I think the Chiefs find a way to take
it. If it's going to be a shootout, then I'm going to take the Chiefs. I mean, I may not I may not take the points, but I'm going to take the Chiefs because again, I'll say this until they put me on the ground. The best way to beat Patrick Mahomes is keep his ass on the sideline.
Yeah, keep him on the sideline.
That's the only way. That's the only way you're going to beat him. I mean, Buffalo Bills defense proved it last year. I mean, what? How many touchdowns did he score within the last 30 seconds? 2.
Something like that. Yeah, I mean,
something like that. It was just. It was just who has the ball last, and so. The only way for Detroit to really have a chance is if they play ground control with their new rookie running back, and of course with getting Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Look, it's gonna. Hey, I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now. I had this Detroit game circled as a game to be leery of. I mean, you and I talked about it at the very beginning, of the summer. About having this game circled on the calendar, and not just because obviously it's week 1, everybody's excited, we're ready to see football again.
No, but it's a tough game.
No, look, Detroit to me is one of those teams where, look, Dan Campbell is, he's from the Bill Parcells tree, he's from the Sean Payton tree. The thing that I like about Dan Campbell is. He didn't fire Aaron Glenn last year when everybody was calling for him to fire Aaron Glenn. When they started 1-8, lost, were giving up a gazillion yards a game, everybody was calling for him to fire Aaron Glenn. What's he do? They did fire their secondary coach. I think they fired maybe their linebacker coach or D-line coach, one of the two. Kept Aaron Glenn. Guess what? They rattled off, 7-8 wins in a row and damn near should damn near made the playoffs. So that being said, this is a team that comes in with a lot of confidence, that comes in ready to go. And the one thing that kind of makes you a little bit nervous is that they did, they've been beating on each other for a few weeks now, right? Like the one thing Dan Campbell made clear, like, look, we're going to hit. And hell, I think they hit the first day of practice. And so, and again, that's not to say the Chiefs won't be ready on Thursday, but I think it's going to come down to 2 things. One, who tackles better, all right? And what offense takes the longest to get going. I think those, to me, right now, off the top of my head, are the things that jump out to me the most. What offense is going to take the longest to get going? I still think it's going to be the Lions, only because, well,
look, you're playing in a hostile environment. I don't know if they played there in several years. Arrowhead is never an easy place to play, especially when you're celebrating a Lombardi Trophy win, you're raising the banner. You got 15 on the other side. That defense can still be formidable. Look, Steve Spagnuolo still is a damn good defensive coordinator. He may not have all of his weapons, but he's going to have enough. And,
we will see. What does make me nervous about that, though, is Detroit, and I heard this stat today, had the #1 offense against the blitz last year. As far as, I guess, completing passes, yards per play, whatever. We know how good Patrick Mahomes is against the blitz. It makes you wonder a little bit, because that's the one thing your boy Spags likes to do. Spags will dial up some pressure now. And the thing that worries me a little bit tomorrow, or Thursday, Bitter Mike, is the fact that, you're going to have to dial up some blitzes on Thursday.
Well, they've got a whole new running back stable, right? No more Jamal Williams, no more DeAndre Swift. Now you got the rookie Jahmyr Gibbs. You got David Montgomery, fresh out of Chicago. Amon-Ra St. Brown is still, he's still kind of an unproven youngster. Marvin Jones Jr. is back. Josh Reynolds is 25, 28 going on 50. So we'll see. And, they don't have a tight end to think of or speak of, from what I understand.
I swear to God, I feel like Josh Reynolds has been in the NFL for at least a decade.
Forever.
For at least a decade. Now, you don't have Jameson Williams.
You don't have Jameson Williams either. Right.
Will they be taking over-under bets over there in Detroit on Thursday? Well, the game's in Kansas City, since half the Detroit team likes.
It's 53. The over-under is 53 last time I checked. I think I'm going to take the under.
Let's see here. Yeah, it is. Right now, Action Network has it at 53. Your money line right now, plus 190 for the Lions, minus 240 for your Kansas City Chiefs. I threw this out there, and like I said, I'll throw this out there. We got some folks listening, tuning in. Glad to have you guys on board. Make sure you subscribe to Chiefs Studios. Give us a follow on Twitter and over on the Instagram, or I guess X and IG, at the Freddie D, at the Bitter Mike. And go ahead and follow Chiefs Studios and subscribe as well, at Chiefs Studios. And of course, give my boy Taylor a follow as well, at ESIM Studios as well. It just makes you a little nervous. If I'd have told you, Chiefs fans, that Jerick McKinnon was going to be your leading returning wide receiver heading into the Thursday night game against Detroit, how would you feel? Most people would say, that means something bad went down with Travis Kelce, and of course that's the case. But then of course it also does show too that you didn't get a whole lot of course Juju's gone, so. Which it turns out, maybe losing Juju wasn't such a bad deal. Albert Breer reported yesterday or the day before that his knee is a mess and could explode at any minute. Now, that seems a little bit dramatic, Mike Babbo. Yeah. I've never had a knee that was going to explode at any minute. I've never heard of a knee that was going to explode at any minute. Does that mean that he can't get through security at the airport?
Well, I've been able to. With my back, but we'll see.
But is your back ready to explode at any minute? That's the real question.
Oh, God.
Literally and figuratively, it is?
What's that?
I said literally and figuratively, it could at any minute.
You know what? I never use that word literally. It is the most overused word in the English
language. It is.
I hate it. Now that you watch it. Everybody uses it now. It's ridiculous. It's literally ridiculous.
Literally, everybody's using it ad nauseum. All right, so real quick, we'll just 3 things that I'm looking for in the game on Thursday. Number 1, I'm looking at the O-line. Okay, the importance of the offensive line has taken on a tremendously bigger meaning now that you're going to not have Travis Kelce, because again, you're going to need a little bit more time for guys to get separation, for plays to unfold. We do know that our boy 15 likes to do things off script, that he's as good as anybody, if not the best at doing things off script, but he's going to need an offensive line that's going to allow him to do that. So number 1 for me is the one thing I'm looking at is the O-line for the Kansas City Chiefs.
For me, number 1 is time of possession. I think it's really important for the Chiefs to play ball control in this game and use the short passing game to compensate for the fact that they got no Travis Kelce left. I think to lose him so soon before opening kickoff, it's going to be I wouldn't say very difficult, but it's going to be difficult to all of a sudden switch up the game plan because Travis Kelce was such a huge part of the passing game. He was the passing game in a lot of weeks last year. So I don't know if Kadarius Toney and et al. Will be able to step up. Mark MVS has the tools. He's talented enough. He's only 26 for crying out loud. He should be in his prime, and so this is an opportunity for him to step up. I just don't know if they have the time for him to do so. So I think it's very important for the Chiefs to play time of possession game.
Number 2 for me is going to be Noah Gray. All right. And I'll tell you why. Do you know what Noah Gray's career high in receptions is for a game?
Probably about 4.
Subtract 1. Subtract 1.
Wow. Okay.
Noah Gray's best game as a Kansas City Chief, it was 2 times last year. Week 9 against Tennessee when the Chiefs won 20-17. He had 3 catches on 3 targets for 45 yards. That's a 15-yard clip, ladies and gentlemen. And then in week 14 at Denver when they won 34-28, he also had 3 catches for 45 yards. So that is the career high for one Noah Gray. 3 catches, 45 yards. Mike Babbo, if my boy Noah Gray, who I've been saying since the summertime, since the offseason, that this was a guy that I wanted to see step up. We talked about all the wide receivers and what have you. We know Travis Kelce, and again, this was before any injuries. I thought, all right, before, this guy's not, I mean, we this run, this incredible run he's on is gonna end at some point. Obviously, it's gonna probably end on Thursday. What's the heir apparent? What has Noah Gray done? Has he shown any flashes? And it's hard to show flashes when you're playing behind Travis Kelce because Kelce just doesn't come off the field anyway. Now's your chance on Thursday, Noah. Hey, look, Duke just upset Clemson last night. Okay.
You took the words out of my mouth, so he's got to be riding the high.
Your boys are feeling good. Okay, maybe you were at the game, probably not, but I'm sure you were watching it. I'm sure maybe you and Justin Ross maybe had a little friendly side wager going on because I know he put plenty of it on Instagram. So you got to be feeling good about that. Noah Gray, it's your time to shine, my friend. It's time to show the world. Are you ready to be that guy? Because look, if Noah Gray shows out and shows up on Thursday, now all of a sudden, you're not as big a rush. For you buy yourself a little bit of time with Travis Kelce, but then when he does come back, now all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, now we might have a little, that two tight end set looks a little bit different.
Yeah, for me, number 2 is going to be turnovers.
Okay,
these young receivers like Sky Moore and MBS are going to be called upon to catch the rock, and they got to hold on to the rock. You cannot give up turnovers, especially in negative territory. So it's going to be very, very important to take care of the pill. Of course, probably I wouldn't mind if the Chiefs force some turnovers, but they cannot turn the ball over. They got to play clean in this game for sure. Because if there's one thing about Travis Kelce, that sucker, when he caught the ball, he never let go of it, and they're going to have to do that.
No, he's as sure-handed in most cases as anybody on the football team. For me, number 3, I know while it would be easy to say the defensive line is obviously a group that everybody's going to be looking at, but I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to be looking at the secondary on Thursday night. Why am I going to be looking at the secondary on Thursday night? I'm glad you asked, Mike Babbo. I'll tell you why. Because – look, you and I are both in agreement. It's going to be a trying time with that defensive line on Thursday. Because let's not forget, too, Detroit's got a pretty good offensive line.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Right? Like, I mean, they've got a pretty dadgum good offensive line. So that being said, even if you had Chris Jones, their man in the middle, you'd still have your work cut out for you. Now you really got your work cut out for you. So that being said, since I don't see a lot of pass rush or a lot of push being generated by that front 4, that secondary is going to have to be on their toes on Thursday night. And again, you lost Thornhill. Nobody's really losing a whole lot of sleep over that. Brian Cook, I want to see how he looks. You got Jalen Watson, you got Jalen Williams, L'Jarius Sneed is back. So, for me, how does that secondary look considering they're going to be under siege early and often? And dare I say the linebackers, but I'm going to go with that secondary because, like I said, I do think if this thing does turn into a shootout, how's that Chiefs secondary going to look?
Amen. For me, it's going to be I think the key to the defense is going to be Willie Gay. This is a second-round guy out of Mississippi State. This is his 3rd year. This is about time he started to show up. So, in the regular season, it's going to be very, very important in the regular season opener for him to create some havoc and see if he can get some blitzes on and give Jared Goff some headaches it's going to be super important for him to create some havoc in the offensive backfield.
I'm going to give you a bonus because that's what I do.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with one, and I'm going to follow your lead on the fourth thing I'm looking at, but I'm going with another player, Richie James. We forget that last year, and actually, technically, he would be the leading wide receiver coming back, even though he caught 57 balls last year for 569 yards. Granted, that was with the New York Giants, but just from a sheer numbers perspective, he is technically would be the leading returning receiver as far as receptions go for the football team. Again, MVS only had 42 catches for 600. Being said, they raved about him in training camp. They raved about him during the preseason. He was already announced today that he's going to be the kick returner and the punt returner for the Chiefs, which was something that last year Sky Moore was an absolute disaster for most of the year, and then decided, hey, playoff time, I guess it's time to show up and show out, and he did just that. So, but I'm okay with, let's give a guy who's good at it, who's done it. Sky Moore never done it before last year, and you could tell. So that being said, it makes me feel a little bit better. But from a special team standpoint, we saw how big special teams were in the Super Bowl last year. Hell, we saw how big it was in that final punt return against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Now that you've solidified those two roles, kick returner, punt returner, and Mike, the kick returner role is this year, I don't know that it's going to have the same impact as before, especially since you can fair catch it as much. You can fair catch it pretty much from anywhere and start the ball to 25. So from that standpoint,
hell, you don't even have to pick up the ball when it lands in the end zone. Remember,
you don't even have to pick the ball.
It was a live ball. Yeah.
So, and again, from a receiving standpoint, I mean, hell, he made a couple good catches. I think it was the week 2 or week 3 in the preseason, whatever it was. So Richie James is a guy who I forgot to include in that pass catcher list, who is going to be relied on early and often as well Thursday night.
So for me, my bonus pick is containing Aiden Hutchinson. I think you mentioned the offensive line, but containing him, I mean, he's a beast. I mean, he's as advertised, and we'll see, because he's going to be going all over the place, and so it's going to be very incumbent upon Donovan Smith or Jawan Taylor if he's on the other side. And Noah Gray is probably going to have to stay in a pass block, or certainly Isaiah Pacheco is going to have to do some work in the backfield too. So it's going to be very, very important for them to contain Hutchinson and company, but certainly him. So
no, it absolutely will. It absolutely will. And so no, we're going to have ourselves I mean, look, we're already jacked about Thursday night anyway, but this certainly adds to the intrigue a little bit. And you know what? You know me, I can't help myself. I'm going to go ahead and add number 5. That's what I do. You don't have to do it. But I'm going to go ahead and throw number 5 in there as well. I'm putting in Matt Nagy. I'm adding Matt Nagy. Okay.
Yeah, this is his first game with the keys, right?
Well, this is his first game since what?
Since his inauspicious exit from Chicago.
Yeah, right. So I mean, he was the OC the year before he got the Bears job, and yeah. But this is his. Well, let's put it this way: this is his first set of keys. Before he had kind of the you could say he had like a Ford Taurus or a Ford Focus with Alex Smith, reliable. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not a lot of power, but reliable. No. Okay. Right. Well, as somebody who has and look, I don't want to besmirch the good name of Pat Mahomes by calling him a Ford Mustang, but now you've got the.
Hey, I got a Ford Mustang.
I know you do. I know you do. So I wanted to, but I guess when I think of Pat Mahomes, I'm thinking more Mercedes-Benz AMG, type luxury there. So, but our point remains the same, Mike Babbo. It's a little bit. Look,
a lot more horsepower.
Think about it this way. If I'm Matt Nagy and I've got, a good, I'm calling plays for a good Alex Smith, but then 5 years later, I'm calling plays for Fitteen. Okay. It's a little bit different story. But that being said, all right, curious to see what kind of game plan him and Big Red draw up for Thursday.
That's true. Yeah. Especially with only 48 hours left to prepare.
The clock's ticking, people. The clock's ticking. Yep. Let's real quick. I want to touch on this. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll say we're already 40 minutes deep into this, so let's get down to it. We'll save our predictions for the end. But this is something we've been wanting to do. We just haven't gotten a chance to do it yet. Let's get into overs and unders real quick for the AFC.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We'll do this, and then
look at that.
We'll do our over-unders, all right?
Okay.
And then after we do our over-unders, 3 games that we're looking forward to on Sunday, and then we'll make our picks for Thursday's game. So, number 1, let's see here. Chiefs, 11.5.
I got the over. I got them at 13 wins.
You got them going 13-4. I'm going over as well. I got them. I can see them. I said earlier today I could see them going at 11-6. And here's the thing, and I don't mean to sound like a Debbie Downer here. 11-6. I think. Look, 11-6 is still going to win this division. Would it get you the number 1 seed in the AFC? I don't know. I'm a little nervous about this Chiefs team this year. And for folks that don't know, and we appreciate everybody that's tuned in today. Really glad to have you guys on board. We're having a good night here, and hopefully you guys are enjoying what you're hearing. Be sure to follow us at the Bitter Mike, at the Freddie D on X and on IG. Follow Chief Studios as well and subscribe to the channel. You will be glad that you did. And if you're going back to the archives, make sure you go check out the Pat Mahomes Sr. interview, as well as Christian Okoye. And, of course, we've got some other folks. In fact, for all you betting heads out there, and we know a lot of you guys like to bet out there, Chris Hodge from TakingVegas.com is going to be on the show tomorrow, so make sure you stick around for that. We'll get his thoughts on the line and how everything's moving with no Chris Jones and with Travis Kelce likely out on Thursday. So you and I are both in agreement, Mike. I'm saying over right now because, look, 12-5, I think that's reasonable. I think that's reasonable for the Kansas City Chiefs because I do think, look, you got a Jets team that you got to worry about this year that's actually going to be halfway decent. And I do think the AFC West will be a smidge better than before. All right, Cincy, our boy Joe Burrow is finally back at practice. Their over-under is 11.5. I'm going to go under just because I see them going 11-6 and because I think that the NFC North is loaded this year, and that's going to be the best division in football.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over only because I've seen their schedule. I did the entire schedule grid, and I don't think Baltimore's all that, although they were second in points against last year. They were a surprising, very good defense. But Cleveland, I still think is kind of a work in progress. I did not like what I saw of Deshaun Watson, in training camp this year. I also have them beating Buffalo in their one matchup on week 9, the marquee matchup, and because that's at Cincy. So I really don't see really a hard road to hoe for them. So I got them at 14 wins. I got them going at 14-3.
Check out the big brain on Brad. Gosh damn, you got them at fucking 14 wins? So you got them as the number 1 seed in the AFC.
I do.
Wow, you must be eating that sky.
And ironically, I do have them beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead.
I'm sorry, what?
I got them beating the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
I'm sorry, you have bad connection. Say that one more time. Hey, are you a Spectrum customer? Is that what's going on right now?
These are predictions, and they're like assholes. Everybody's got one. So.
Man, I could have swore I heard somebody. You know what? It's probably the aliens, because I thought I heard you say that they were going to beat the Chiefs today. Okay, Buffalo 10.5 over under.
I got them over.
Okay, we're both in agreement on that. And by the way, I am going to make sure, just so everybody knows, and for people that know me, and for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, glad to have you on board. One of the things I like to do, and I've done this throughout my entire radio career, is I take notes. Now, for whatever reason, the blurry background is not doing me any favors right now. But as you can see, your boy is writing all this down. And one note that I'm going to write over here, folks, in this white area right here, I'm going to write down that Mike Babbo on this day said that Cincinnati was going to beat the Chiefs. So
they have the 3 of the last 4 times, right?
I'm sorry. Again,
you can't hear. Yeah. We're breaking up. You're going into a tunnel, aren't you?
Are you calling me on a cellular phone? Prank caller.
Prank caller. You're talking about drug shit on a phone. Okay.
That's right. All right. So Cincy beating Kansas City. Let's put that in.
Book it.
Stars. Wow. Wow. Well, that's why we have him on the show, folks.
That's right.
Why, you can't be a Kansas City Chiefs jerk-off session, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, no. I do that enough by myself, all right?
But look, no death threats, okay? No death threats. It's all love.
That's it. Calm down, people. Calm down.
Right. It's just a game.
Who's in the Super Bowl? That's all that matters. Baltimore 9.5.
I don't know why, but I got the over only because their schedule is just kind of.
Yeah, no, I'm going with the over.
They start off with Houston, then they go on the road to Cincinnati, and then they play Indianapolis, and then at Cleveland. I got them losing to Pittsburgh week 5, but then they play Tennessee. You don't know what's going to get it with Tennessee. Then they lose to Detroit, but then they play Arizona. They play at Arizona. They're a dumpster fire. I got them at 11. So
all right, you got them at I got them at 10, or I just got them at over.
Yeah.
All right, Jacksonville 10.
Jacksonville. I got them under.
Interesting.
I got them at 9 and 8.
Interesting. I'm gonna put them. I would have them at 10 and 7. I'm going to go ahead and go with over just because I can see them going 11 and 6. The AFC South is probably one of the worst. The AFC South and the NFC South might be the two worst divisions in football. So I wouldn't be surprised if they win 11 games. Chargers 9.5.
Under. I got them at 8 and 9.
I'm going to go with you on that as well. I have them at 9 and 8. The Jets 9.5.
Wow. I looked at their schedule, Freddie D. I got them at 6 wins this year.
The Jets?
Yeah, that offensive line is just pathetic. I love Garrett Wilson, but a quarterback in a whole new situation. Yes, I know he's a Hall of Famer, but he's also pushing 40 years old. But their offensive line is putrid. And they don't have, and the running back situation is in flux. You know what? There's some close. There's some close losses in here, huh?
I don't know that I'd call it flux, just for the simple fact that you got Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall. That's a good. If that's flux, I'll take that flux all day. The only flux better than that's the capacitor. So you're going under.
I'm going heavy under.
By the way, just random. Speaking of flux capacitor, have you seen and for the folks out there listening, have you guys seen this John DeLorean special on Netflix? What a madman.
No, but I do remember when he went bankrupt.
Madman, okay? Madman, that's what I'm going to say.
He was a mad genius. But listen, the Jets open up at home against Buffalo. Yeah. Then they travel to Dallas.
Yeah.
Then they go against New England, which I don't know why I had them as a loss, but I can't. Maybe that's a win. But I got them losing to Kansas City. I got them beating Denver week 5 at Denver. Then going to Philly, then they got the bye. So I got them at 1 and 5, or excuse me, 1 and 5 by their bye at week 7. I don't see many wins there. And then of course I got them beating the Giants at MetLife Stadium, the intercity rivalry. But then they go down to the Chargers. I don't think they can go up against Justin Herbert and all of his weapons. And I do have them beating the Raiders in Vegas, but then they travel to Buffalo again. I call that a loss. Miami's a win. That's tough. That's no guaranteed win, and that's at home. Should they beat Atlanta at home? Yes. So maybe that should be 7 wins instead of 6. But the thing is that I got Atlanta on only 5 wins as it is. I got them beating Houston, but I got them losing against Miami again. I just don't see. Look, they got a very solid defense, but Miami's defense is not that terrible, and I don't see anybody being able to cover Tyreek Hill. It's just a hard schedule.
It is, but at the same time too, I think that defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. That defensive line is. Look, that defense kept them in a lot of games last year. And they had a dumpster fire at quarterback. So, look, you don't need Aaron Rodgers to be vintage Aaron Rodgers. Just pretty dadgum good Aaron Rodgers can get this team 8 or 9 wins. And then there's going to be games. Look, New England sucks. All right, I'm sorry.
They do. They do.
Miami, again, they're a Tua Tagovailoa, head bump away from being 5 and 11, 5 and 12. All right. And, Buffalo is a Sean McDermott, coaching gaffe and a Stephon Diggs meltdown in the locker room away from strife there. And then suddenly, the thing about the NFL that's always so crazy to me is that just the slightest things can flip the script. Look, Buffalo is in that ship in Buffalo can get ugly real quick, right? Look, they've been in win now mode for the last 2 or 3 years. And, that bill's going to start coming due here pretty soon. And if Sean McDermott can't figure it out this year and they get off to a slow start or suddenly that defense looks vulnerable, that's they're going to.
Yeah, but I don't see them getting off to a slow start, Fred. I just don't see it because their schedule looks pretty cake. The first Buffalo's. Yes, they travel to New York, but I just still think that, with Josh Allen, anything's possible. And Stephon Diggs, anything is possible. And their defense is absolutely solid. Then they host the Raiders. That's a win. Huh?
Here's the thing about their defense, though. I think their defense is good.
It's not great. It's not historic.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think their defense is great. And look, Von Miller's out for the first 4 or 5 weeks. All right. And look what happened.
Yeah, but the Jets' offensive line is putrid. They are historically bad.
I'm not ready.
They were thinking of trading for what the old tackle for what's his name?
Dwayne Brown's there.
Who?
Yeah, Dwayne Brown's on the left side.
No, not Dwayne Brown. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the old the Green Bay lineman that.
Who? Balaga?
No, I'll find it. But look, they're so historically bad.
I'm not saying that they look. This isn't. I'm not going to say that they've got a top 5 offensive line, but I think their offensive line is good enough. I think
Dave Bakhtiari. They were looking to trade for him.
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. Look,
all right.
You've proved the NFL. The thing about an offensive line is this: a bad offensive line can get you through the regular season. It's when the playoffs count is when you can when a bad offensive line really rears its ugly head.
Okay, Justin Herbert would like a word.
Look, Justin Herbert.
No, not Justin Herbert. Excuse me. Justin Fields. Shoot.
Well, yeah, but look, he's throwing to you. Okay. Who's he got to throw to?
Darnell Mooney, who's not half bad.
Who outside of the Moody family and fantasy football geeks, nobody could. Daryl Moody could be walking down my fucking street right now, and I wouldn't know who the fuck he is. Okay. Look, Joe Burrow somehow has survived 2 years with one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League, and hell, took him to a fucking Super Bowl 2 years ago, for crying out loud.
Okay, they were historically bad his rookie year. They caused him to get a knee injury. He was out for week 8 for the rest of the season. His rookie year, I get it, but they got better last year. Hey, look, they went to a Super Bowl. They did go to a Super Bowl.
Look, they went to a Super Bowl, and as most of the Chiefs fans on this show will tell you, he got murdered. Look, he got murdered against the Raiders. Joe Burrow.
I know.
Y'all should have got beat. Y'all should have beat him that year in the playoffs. Rick Bisaccia. Yes.
No.
You kidding me? Hell, it was a throw in the end zone that would have won them the game if they'd have completed
the year before last.
That's what I'm saying. 2 years ago, when that year they went to the Super Bowl. That's what I'm saying. Well, the Raiders almost beat them that year in the fucking playoffs. And your idiotic owner decided, here, instead of sticking with the guy that the entire team loves and the entire
Rich Bisaccia, they went ahead and they got the turd Ferguson.
Yeah, let's go get rid of him and hire the biggest asshole.
All right, anyway, let's move on. All right,
we're done. We're done. We're done. Anyway, we're off on a tangent. We're off on a tangent.
Yeah, and don't you love your tangents, right?
Miami, 9.5.
Under. 8.
Under. I'm going to go, let's see, who do I have here? I've got Buffalo at 11. I've got the Jets at 10. I'm going to say under as well. Cleveland, 9.5. I'm saying under. I got them going 9 and 8. I think the AFC is going to be littered with parity in that middle section. I think the AFC is going to be just a shit show this year, and not in a bad way, but I think it's going to be just a log jam there in the middle. Over under, Cleveland.
Under.
Okay.
I got them at 9 and 8 as well.
Pittsburgh.
Woohoo!
9.
Easy. I'm hammering the over.
I was going to say, you get them at what? 16 and 1.
13 and 4.
You're fucking insane.
I know I'm insane. But I looked at their schedule, Freddie.
Let me write
look,
this down.
Look. Okay, we already established.
Once again, folks, we have jotted in the margins here.
And here it is. I've got them losing.
I love it. I love the fact that you are on this. Look, you know what? You know what I'll appreciate is the fact that not only did you have them as a Super Bowl sleeper 2 weeks ago, you are doubling down and got them at 13-4.
13-4.
Wow.
Look, loss against San Francisco, and that's at home. But then win against Cleveland, win against the Raiders, win against the Texans, win against Baltimore at home, then a bye. Then they play the hapless Rams.
Yeah.
They lose against Jacksonville, win against Tennessee, win against Jordan Love at home against Green Bay, win against Cleveland. So they sweep Cleveland. They lose to Joe Shiesty at Cincinnati. They beat Arizona. Everybody's beaten Arizona this year. They beat New England. Everybody's beaten New England this year.
I'm going over.
I mean, dude. I mean, this is an easy schedule.
But you're putting a lot of faith in Kenny Pickett. You're putting a lot of faith.
No, I'm putting a faith in that offensive line and Mike Tomlin. I never bet against Mike Tomlin.
You're putting a lot of faith in Kenny Pickett.
Dude, he's not terrible. I mean, look.
I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying you are putting a lot. You're fucking you've got Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers at 13-4. You maniac.
No, yeah, I got him at 13-4. I was going to say 14-3. Oh man, someone call Valero HR.
Somebody go drug test this guy. Denver 8.5.
Oh hell no.
I'm going over because I got them going 9-8.
No, I got them at 8 and 9.
Okay, so you got them at under. Tennessee 7.5.
Under.
I'm going to go over because I could see them being 8 and 9 just because the AFC South's so terrible.
I mean, look,
if Tannehill stays healthy,
listen, huh?
If Tannehill can stay healthy with the weapons that team has,
I totally agree. You took the words out of my mouth. The wild card is D-Hop, DeAndre Hopkins.
That's it.
If he can beat D-Hop 3 years ago, cancel Christmas.
Well, I would argue the wild card's Tannehill.
Huh?
I would argue. I'm with you. I think wild card 1A is Tannehill. I think wild card 1B is D-Hop.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Because you could argue they haven't had a receiving core this good since, I mean, you had A.J. Brown that you got rid of, but this is probably the best receiving core he's had because I think Treylon Burks is ready to take a step. And then, of course, like you said, you got D-Hop. So we'll see about that. New England, 7.5.
Oh, God, they're going to be terrible. I'm hammering the under on that one. 4.
All right, I'm going to go under 2. I see them going 7.
And I was searching for victories for them.
Raiders, 6.5. I already know where you're at on that.
Hell no.
Indianapolis, 6.5.
No, can I expand on that one, please?
Would you like to expand on your Vegas?
Yes. They will go into. I mean, they will lose their first 5 games of the season.
Wow. Okay, let me put that in the margins.
At Denver, a loss. At Buffalo, loss. Home against the Steelers, loss. At the Chargers, loss. Home against Green Bay, maybe a loss. Because by that time, the Bulls will be at the door.
So you got them at 0-5 to start the year.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Look at the season. Look at the schedule.
Hey, I'm right. Hey, look, I'm following you on that because
They popped their cherry in Week 6 against New England, and then they beat the Bears in Chicago.
See, I got them. I got Chicago beating them. All right.
Yeah.
So what's your overall record prediction?
5-12.
5-12.
It was somewhere between 4 and 6 wins. And so when I said 4 a couple of weeks ago, our boy Nick Medina said, no way. And then we went over it. I'm like,
friend of the program, Nick Medina.
Friend of the program.
Is he having a conniption fit over Travis Kelce getting hurt?
He's pissed off at himself because he took Travis Kelce in our fantasy football draft.
Well,
so he blames himself. Seriously.
Look, I don't have any Chiefs on my fantasy team this year.
There's a reason for that, right?
No, there really wasn't. I actually look. I want guys, to
well, you're not going to pick Kadarius Toney. You're not going to.
I almost did. I was going to take him in the last round just as a flyer. Okay. But my cousin actually took him before I did. So, look, I'm in a league, and all you fans out there that are watching, again, we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. To let you know how wonky and crazy. This league that I'm in, it's mostly Chiefs fans. Pat Mahomes went number 1 overall. Okay.
Yeah, that's
crazy talk. Okay,
yeah.
that's crazy talk.
Even you think that's nuts.
Now that being said, if he has a bonkers year, is taking him number 1 so wonky? Time will tell. Time will tell. I'll tell you this much. I'll put my receiving room up against anybody in fucking fantasy. Okay.
Yeah,
Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Jordan Addison, and who's my 5th guy? Treylon Burks.
Well, I tell you what, your other owners must be a bunch of morons. They left that many guys on the table, especially in the round 3 through 5. All right. Anyway, where are we at?
Now that being said, my quarterback is Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and who do you have? You got Brock.
But I got Brock Purdy backing him up.
Yeah, you're gonna be.
I got Brock Purdy backing him up
pretty soon.
My running back room's a little light, but we'll see. Indianapolis 6.5.
Just under 6. I'll tell you what, though. Hot take. Anthony Richardson is my offensive rookie of the year.
I could see that. And then Houston 6.5.
Oh, under. I searched for 4 wins.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I really did.
I'm going with them on the under as well. So
and yeah.
All right. What is your Chiefs? You got them going what?
What did I do? I think I got them going 13-4.
Okay, I've got them going 12-5. You've got them going 13-4. Okay.
Yeah, I've got their only losses. Let me see here. Sorry. At home against Detroit. Sorry. Week 8 at Denver. That's a Thursday. That's a short week. It's at Denver. I got them losing to Philly off the bye at home. I just think they play better on the road. I don't know why. And I got them losing week 17 at home against Cincy. But that's it.
All right.
Again, these are all close too. Huh?
3 games that you're looking forward to this. The 3 biggest games. The 3 games that Mike Babbo does not want to miss this weekend.
Well, obviously, Thursday night's game.
To
kick off the season.
We already know.
For sure. I'm interested. You know what? I'm interested in seeing the Dallas Giants game. I think Dallas might have the NFL Defensive Player of the Year in Micah Parsons. I want to see him wreak some havoc against that offensive line of the New York Giants, which I still think is very suspect.
Okay.
And then Washington and Arizona, not because it's going to be compelling or competitive. I want to see new offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. I want to see the new regime of Josh Harris take place at FedEx Field. I want to see a rebirth of Washington football. I mean, those fans have been starved for a relevant, non-dysfunctional team. Let's face it; they've been the most dysfunctional franchise east of Las Vegas for the last 23 years, ever since Dan Snyder had the team. And thank God he's gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead. And so we got a new consortium led by Josh Harris. And, Ron Rivera is always the guy that you root for. And, I want to see Eric Bieniemy get out from the shadow, of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, right?
No, because, look, if this Commander's offense is even remotely good, he'll be a head coach next year.
Absolutely. And as well he should be. Damn it.
As well he should be. 3rd game.
I think I gave you 3.
You gave me Dallas, New York, Washington, Arizona.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Kansas City
doesn't count. Of course.
Okay, that one doesn't count. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. I gotta see what my Raiders are going to do at Denver. I mean, I got to see if the defense is going to be worth a shit, which I don't think they will be because
you've already got them losing the game. So
I've already got them losing the game. But you know what? I want to. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I want to see what Josh Jacobs can do after being. Yeah, I want to see what Josh Jacobs can do.
5 and 4.
Yeah, exactly. But I
want to see what that defense does.
Well, look, I'm going to watch it for at least until it becomes non-competitive, which is probably around 8 minutes left in the first half. But more importantly, look, we got 2 reclamation projects going on there, right? Sean Payton, and Russell Wilson, right? So the Denver Broncos are the biggest, one of the biggest wild cards of this NFL 2023 season.
Oh, absolutely, 1,000%.
Absolutely, because Sean Payton now is out of the shadow of Hall of Famer Drew Brees. Now he's going to remake this entire offense. He's already lit a fire under Nathaniel Hackett. He blew him up big time. But Russell Wilson, all of a sudden, he's 1 year removed from being a surefire Hall of Famer. He still will be in the Hall of Fame, but I mean, he has got to erase last year.
See, I said this today on ESPN 97.5, and for those of you watching out there, give it a shot tomorrow, 12 to 3 Central Time, ESPN 97.5 here in Houston. I said if he has another bad year like last year, I think then you can call into question his legitimacy as a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, you might.
If he looks like dog shit as bad as he did last year, you can absolutely call into question whether or not he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, because that would mean his last year in Seattle wasn't great. He was arguably the worst quarterback in the NFL, one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL last year. And if he backs it up with Sean Payton this year, and you're telling me that this guy had 3 bad years in a row to end his career, and we're questioning whether or not Eli Manning's in the Hall of Fame quarterback, come on, you can't tell me that our boy. What's his face? Russell Wilson's a shoo-in.
Well, not just that. I mean, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say not only that. I mean, the whole culture, the things that we were hearing from inside, the locker room and the facility.
But he had his own office. Well, I mean, what the?
He had his own office. Why does a quarterback need a fucking office? I mean, are you kidding me?
Stupid.
Unless it has a toilet. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, you saw what it did for George Costanza.
That's right.
All right, my 3 games: Bengals, Browns.
Ooh,
number 1.
Yeah.
Because I want to see. We got to see. Look, you talk about reclamation projects in Vegas and Denver.
Oh yeah.
Is there a bigger reclamation project than fucking Deshaun Watson's image?
No. Yeah. You got me beat there, brother. You got me beat there.
This dude, you gave this guy $250 million.
Guaranteed. All of it.
Okay. Not to mention he's on Right Said Fred, so we need him to ball. Number 2, Green Bay, Chicago.
Ooh.
Okay. Chicago's one of my sleeper playoff teams this year, number 1. And 2, people are raving about the job that Jordan Love inside the Green Bay building. Now, you could argue, well, Fred, what are they going to say? Well, we would hear if there was negativity coming out of it. I mean, look, we heard pretty quickly that, oh, by the way, Eric Bieniemy's mean to players and they're complaining. Now, funny thing, I heard Brandon Jacobs talk to one of the running backs from Washington over the weekend on ESPN radio, and he asked him point blank, and God bless Brandon Jacobs for asking this question, because I don't know if the radio guy's going to ask, but he said, what does that mean that Eric Bieniemy's too mean? And Antonio Gibson shut that down quick. He said, look, I don't know where that came from. I don't know why it was worded the way it was, but I love the way Eric Bieniemy coaches. He said, look, he's night and day different than what we're used to. But guess what? From where he came from, it worked, and he knows what he's doing. Boom.
He's got pelts on the wall.
Okay? So that being said, Green Bay, and look, they got pieces. There's pieces there. Okay. Chicago, same thing. So I'm anxious to see how that turns out. And then last but not certainly not least, Monday night, Jets, Buffalo. Let's see if that porous offensive line that Mike Babbo hates so much falls victim to the Buffalo Bills on Monday night. So,
I don't hate him, Fred. I just hate watching.
He hates him. There's no getting around it. You hate him. Last but certainly not least, since you and I will not do well. I mean, I've got Chris Hodge on tomorrow. But all right, picks. Chiefs,
picks on picks.
Lions, week 1. Who you got?
Jeez Louise. Lions and a squeaker.
Oh my God, this guy! I'll tell you what.
I already told you this.
I'll tell you what. This guy's lucky we're fucking 3 hours apart.
That's right.
Give me a score.
30-28. So I you know what? I'm contradicting myself when I said take the under. It's gonna be over. 30-28.
This guy's all over the fucking place tonight.
I'm all over the place.
I'm gonna go 34-31 Kansas City. I think it's gonna be
not cover, but win.
Yeah, they won't cover, but they'll definitely win. They won't cover, but they'll definitely win. And 34-31. You know what? I'm gonna. That seems a little high for an opening game. I'm going to say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to say 27-24.
Okay.
27-24. You say 30-28. See, that's why we have a Raider fan on, folks. That's why we have a Raider fan on, because then we're going to beat them up on next week after the Chiefs win. So, anywho, look, great show as always. Big shout out to my boy, Bitter Mike Babbo, for bringing the heat and bringing the funk like he does every single week. Don't forget, we got our boy Chris Hodge from Taking Vegas. That's going to be going down tomorrow, talking all things gambling. And who knows, they may be the official betting partner of the Big Chief Show before it's all said and done. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And I know a lot of you guys like a little action on the game, and rightfully so. Our boy Chris from Taking Vegas will tell you what you should be doing this weekend coming up as well. So for the Bitter Mike, and make sure you follow him at the Bitter Mike. I'm still Fred Davis. Shout out to our boy Taylor Bell, Chief Studios. Make sure you give it a follow. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and of course, give us a follow on X as well as IG. You will be glad you did. For the one, the only Bitter Mike, I'm still that dude, Freddie D. H-Town, Kansas City, all points in between, and the rest of the world. You know we love you.
See ya.